will also meet a panel of Java junkies. They'll talk about their afflictions, and we will have Kitty Drake whip up a few special coffee recipes for us.
So get your mug or your little shishi demi-tasse or your big thing like this and gather around. We'll be back in 10 minutes right after the midday news.
Good day from the National Newsroom. The NATO operation in Bosnia is building up steam. Canadian soldiers will continue to leave from CFB Trenton over the next 10 days. The first group arrived in the former Yugoslavia yesterday. And the Americans are on the move as well. U.S. troops and equipment are finally getting across the Sava River. The Army Corps of Engineers had to battle snow and mud to build the pontoon bridge. It allows thousands of American soldiers to move into Bosnia from bases in Germany. In Tuzla, people celebrated the new year with gunfire.
A good scene.
The peacekeepers didn't like it, but it didn't stop them from exchanging New Year's greetings with the locals. And in Sarajevo, the mortars gave way to music. The people of Sarajevo are facing the prospect of peace for the first time in 3.5 years. Life is slowly creeping back to normal in an atmosphere of hope mingled with suspicion. Pope John Paul has welcomed the new year as a chance to build a peaceful world for children. The Pope delivered his message during a Mass at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City. The Pope said he was dedicating 1996 to children. The 75-year-old pontiff appears to have recovered from a bout of the flu. There was some concern about the Pope's health when the flu interrupted his live televised address on Christmas Day. Well, Canada's tough new gun control legislation comes into effect today. From now on, committing a crime with a gun will result in a mandatory prison sentence of at least 4 years. The old minimum prison term was 1 year. But the most controversial part of the new law won't take effect until the middle of the new year. The requirement that gun owners register and obtain a license for their firearms has been postponed because the government hasn't had time to set up a system. And even then, mandatory gun registration will be phased in over several years. Well, while Canada gets tougher on firearms, some American states are relaxing their gun laws. In Texas, people are now allowed to carry concealed weapon. That reverses a ban put in place 125 years ago by a legislature fed up with gunslingers in the Wild West. NBC's Gwen Eiffel reports.
Texas today joins more than 24 states that allow qualified gun owners to carry their weapons out of sight. The number of states that allow individuals to carry concealed weapons has grown steadily since 1987. There are now only 8 states that prohibit the practice entirely. And there is still fierce disagreement over whether carrying concealed weapons is a dangerous trend.
This is a bad law. It's not going to reduce violence. It's only going to result in more bloodshed.
Or a needed safety measure.
The people who get carry permits, and they're really a small percentage of the population as a whole, are law-abiding citizens who just want to defend themselves.
In Florida, where concealed weapons licenses have been available since 1987, more than 200,000 people have received them. And in Virginia, where a similar law went into effect last July, nearly 20,000 permits have been issued. Law enforcement officials and gun control advocates are bracing for the law's effect in Texas, hoping that it is the crime-fearing and not the criminals who win in the end. Gwen Eiffel, NBC News, Washington.
And the state of Georgia has gone even further. A new gun law, which comes into effect today, will allow virtually any resident to buy a handgun without a waiting period. Well, an earthquake hit a sparsely populated island of Indonesia today. The quake, with a magnitude of 7, jolted the island of Sulawesi. There are reports of damage, but no casualties. A new study suggests women who use the hormone estrogen live longer, healthier lives than women who do not. The study tracked the medical history of 454 postmenopausal women, half of whom were taking estrogen pills. It found those who used the hormone had a 46% lower death rate. The researchers say that's primarily the result of lowered rates of heart disease and stroke. The mortality rate for heart disease was lowered by 60%. The rate for other cardiovascular diseases, including stroke, was lowered by 73%. Well, over the past 25 years, medical science has made great strides in treating cancer. But the disease still kills thousands of people across North America every year. Robert Bazell of NBC News has this progress report on the fight against cancer.
The children at this party are cancer patients at New York's Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital. Their chances for survival are generally very good. Great progress has been made in the fight against some childhood cancers.
My doctor said that, that as long as I do what I'm told, then, I'd get through.
When President Nixon signed the National Cancer Act 25 years ago, some of the act's supporters in Congress predicted cancer would be cured in time for the 1976 bicentennial. But most cancer certainly has not been cured.
What we now view as standard treatment for cancer patients and is curing patients and saving lives, 20-some years ago, 25 years ago, that was the new therapy, or it wasn't even thought of then.
Still, except for childhood cancers and a few rare adult cancers, better treatment has not resulted in lower death rates. In the past 20 years, the death rate from lung cancer shot up due to smoking. The death rate from uterine cancer decreased because of early detection from pap smears. Stomach cancer is also down because Americans are eating more fresh food. But for breast, colon, and prostate, the major killer cancers, the death rate has remained constant.
I think the hope had been that every new piece of knowledge would immediately lead to a new treatment. But I think that that is an illusion.
The hope is that someday advances now in the laboratory will translate to cure rates for other cancers, at least as good as those for childhood cancers.
My mom and my dad, they really show me how special I am, because I look at other people who did not make it, and I just think, wow, I was one of the lucky ones.
Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
A retired machinist in the Montreal suburb of Pierrefonds has found himself a new job and title. At St. Anthony's School, 640 students learn some special skills from him and call him Grandpa. Jerry Bearer has more on the man who's earned the title Local Hero.
Pat Carroll loves photography. He's won prizes for his pictures that tell stories. Maybe that's why he's so good at reading stories to school children.
With no one driving, the horse took off at full speed out of the park onto the street, waving at everyone they saw. When I took this job on in the school to help the children, it was only for 1 hour, and it has grown, blossomed into 3 full days.
Bernadette Reichert is a teacher at St. Anthony.
I think every school should have somebody special like that. He definitely is a hero in our school.
Who doesn't know how to tie their shoelaces? I've taught many children how to tie their shoelaces. And then you cross them over. Yes. Cross. You see, you put one over, and then you pull them tight. And then you make the bunny's ear. Wow! Give me 5.
And so, children, today, Grandpa Carroll's here. He's going to ask you to come up and receive your diploma because you've all shown him and demonstrated that you can tie your shoes. And for kindergarten kids, I think that's just terrific.
Okay. Mike Miller is vice principal.
He gives them all sorts of confidence. He's very kind to them. He shows the staff, as well as the students, the bright side of life.
You read very well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. What grade are you in?
Grade 3.
Grade 3. I like to think I'm passing on a little bit of love and passing on the feeling that everybody should give a little help to everybody else.
We hand out an award to the graduating student from grade 6 at graduation time who has demonstrated the kind of qualities that we see in Grandpa Carroll. It's called the Humanitarian Award.
Hello.
Jerry Bearer, CBC News, Pierrefonds.
There's a report in one of the London tabloids that the Princess of Wales is prepared to divorce Prince Charles, provided she get what she wants. And the Daily Mirror says she wants 2 things: a clearly defined public role and always to be treated as a princess and the mother of the future king. The Queen sent a letter to Prince and Princess Diana last month, urging them to get a divorce soon. Well, every New Year's, hundreds of North Americans do the polar bear dip. They dunk themselves in the closest freezing river or ocean. Well, in Italy, the tradition is a little different. Today, 2 men did it the Roman way. They took a daring plunge into 1996 by diving off a bridge into the Tiber River. A traditional champagne toast, and then they took off into the cold and dirty water. This particular tradition began about 30 years ago. The crowds love it, but fewer people are doing it because of a police ban on swimming due to the high level of pollution in the Tiber River. And that's the news at this hour on Monday, January the 1st, 1996. For CBC News, I'm Karen Hawryluk.